Captain Elena Vasquez stared out at the endless black space through the broken window of her ship. 6 days ago, the cargo freighter Times, Persistence Times, had been traveling through normal space when everything went wrong. The jump drive exploded in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Now they floated dead in the water, lost in the Kepler void. The void was a place ships went to die. No stars, no planets, no help for hundreds of light years in any direction. Just empty space that seemed to swallow anything that came too close. Elena had heard stories about the void since she first became a spacer 20 years ago. Ships that went in never came out. The lucky ones sent distress signals before they vanished forever. Elena walked through the narrow corridors of her ship. The Times, Persistence Times, was old and ugly, but she had been home for 8 years. The cargo hold was filled with farming equipment bound for a colony on the rim. Simple stuff like tractors and water pumps. Nothing exciting, but it paid the bills and kept her crew fed. Her crew was small but good. 12 people who had been with her through thick and thin. They trusted her, and she would do anything to keep them alive. Right now, that trust felt like a heavy weight on her shoulders. Chief Engineer Marcus Chen looked up from a pile of broken parts when Elena entered the engine room. His hands were black with grease, and his face showed the strain of 6 days without real sleep. Marcus was a thin man with quick hands and a brain that could solve almost any problem. Almost. "How bad is it?" Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. Marcus wiped his hands on a dirty rag. "The jump drive is completely dead. I can fix a lot of things, Captain, but not this. We need a shipyard and about 6 months of work." He pointed to the twisted remains of their most important system. "I can keep life support running for maybe 2 more weeks if we cut power to everything else." Elena nodded. She had expected this news, but it still hit her hard. 2 weeks was not enough time for anyone to find them. The nearest shipping lane was 300 light years away. Even if someone was looking, they would never search this far into the void. She found Navigator Liu Wei in the bridge, bent over star charts that she knew by heart. Liu was young, maybe 25, but she was the best navigator Elena had ever worked with. She could find their position anywhere in the galaxy, using just the stars. Unfortunately, knowing where they were did not help when they could not move. "Any good news?" Elena asked. Liu looked up with tired eyes. "I ran the numbers again. If we had a working communications array, we might be able to send a distress signal that could reach the shipping lanes, but the comm system needs more power than we have." Elena sat down in her captain's chair. The leather was worn smooth from years of use. This chair had been her throne for so many successful voyages. Now it felt like the captain's seat on a sinking ship. The rest of her crew was handling the situation as well as anyone could expect. Dr. Sarah Kim was checking everyone's health and managing their food supplies. First Officer Jackson was keeping the crew busy with maintenance work that did not really need doing. People needed something to do when they were scared. Food was becoming a problem. They had supplies for a normal 3-week voyage, but they were already in day 6 of being stranded. With careful rationing, they might stretch their food for 10 more days. The water recyclers were working fine, so thirst would not kill them. Hunger might. The worst part was the silence. In normal space, there was always background radiation. The distant hum of stars. Something to let you know you were still part of the universe. The void was different. It seemed to absorb everything, even hope. Elena made her rounds, talking to each crew member. She tried to project confidence she did not feel. A captain's job was to keep morale up, even when things looked impossible. Her crew looked at her like she might have some magic solution hidden away. She wished she did. In the cargo hold, she found 3 crew members checking the farming equipment. The machines sat silent and useless, worth a fortune to the colony that would never receive them. Elena wondered if the colonists were already starving without their equipment. It was just another failure to add to her list. The ship's hull groaned as tiny rocks hit them from outside. The void was not completely empty. There was dust and debris from ancient disasters. Most pieces were smaller than rice grains, but they hit at incredible speed. Each impact reminded them how fragile their ship really was. Elena returned to her cabin and sat at her small desk. She opened her logbook and tried to find words to describe their situation. How do you write about hopelessness? How do you record the slow death of good people who trusted you to keep them safe? She wrote. Day 6 in the Kepler void. Ship disabled. Crew holding together well. Food for 10 days. Maybe 12 if we cut rations again. No sign of rescue coming. We'll continue to look for solutions. Elena closed the book. Outside her small window, the void stretched forever. No stars, no light, just the kind of darkness that made you understand how small and alone humans really were in the universe. But Elena Vasquez had not survived 20 years in space by giving up easily. Tomorrow she would gather her crew, and they would find a way to make their situation better. They would repair what could be fixed, and jury-rig what could not. They would squeeze every possible day from their supplies. Most importantly, they would stay human. They would help each other, share what they had, and face whatever came with dignity. The void might kill them, but it would not break them. They were the crew of the times, persistence asterisk, and they would live up to their ship's name until the very end. Elena was checking the food supplies when the signal came in. She heard Liu Wei shouting from the bridge and dropped everything to run. Her heart pounded as she climbed the narrow stairs. Had someone finally found them? Liu was bent over the communications panel, her face lit up by green lights she had not seen in days. Captain, we're getting something. It's not human, but it's definitely a distress signal. Elena pushed beside her navigator and looked at the display. The signal was weak and full of static, but it was there. Someone else was in trouble out here in the void. Someone who might be dying just like them. First, Officer Jackson appeared at Elena's shoulder. He was a big man with steady hands and a calm voice that helped keep everyone relaxed. Can we understand it? Liu worked her fingers across the control panel, running the signal through their translation computer. The machine was old and slow, but after several minutes, words began to appear on the screen. Help. Dying. Children aboard. Life support failing. Please help. The message repeated over and over in broken English. Elena felt her stomach drop. Children. There were kids on that ship, and they were running out of time. Marcus Chen climbed up from the engine room, drawn by the excitement. What's happening? Alien ship in distress, Elena said. Close enough for us to reach, maybe. Marcus studied the signal data on Liu's screen. His face was serious. Captain, if we fire up the engines to go help them, we'll use most of our remaining power. We might not have enough juice left to send our own distress call. Elena understood what he was saying. They had enough power for one action. They could use it to boost their communications and send a message toward the shipping lanes. It might bring rescue for her crew, or they could use that power to help strangers who were dying nearby. How far away are they? Elena asked. Liu checked her calculations twice. About 6 hours at maximum burn. But Marcus is right. If we go help them, we'll be running on emergency power when we get back. No second chances. Elena called for the whole crew to meet in the cargo hold. It was the only space big enough for everyone. They gathered around boxes of farming equipment that would never reach their destination. The crew looked tired and thin, but their eyes were alert. Elena explained the situation simply. There's an alien ship out there. They're dying. We can save them. But it will use up our last chance to call for help. Dr. Kim spoke first. What kind of aliens? Rebrand. The translator says they're Zephyrians, Liu answered. I don't know much about them, except they're part of the Galactic Council. Jackson crossed his arms. The same council that barely lets humans have membership? The ones who think we're too violent and stupid to be trusted with real responsibility? Elena had been thinking the same thing. Humans were new to galactic politics. Most alien species looked down on them as young and aggressive. The Galactic Council gave Earth a seat at the table, but barely listened when humans talked. How many are on their ship? Dr. Kim asked. Liu checked her notes. The signal mentions over 800. Mostly refugees fleeing some kind of plague. The crew was quiet for a long moment. 800 lives. Men, women, and children from a species that did not particularly like humans. People who would probably never thank them or even remember their names. "What are our chances if we call for help instead?" asked Chen. Elena looked at each face around her. These people had followed her for years. They trusted her judgment, even when it might get them killed. Maybe 1 in 10. The shipping lanes are far away, and search teams don't usually come into the void. And if we help the aliens, we all die together. Us and them. Jackson shook his head. "Captain, I've got nothing against aliens, but we've got to think about our own people first. We didn't choose to be out here." "Neither did they," Dr. Kim said quietly. "Disease and disaster don't ask permission." Elena could see her crew was split. Half wanted to try saving themselves. The other half felt they could not ignore a cry for help. Both sides had good reasons for their choice. Chen raised his hand. "What if we help them and then use their ship's equipment to boost our signal?" "Two ships working together might have better luck." Liu frowned. "That's assuming their technology works with ours. Zephyrian systems are supposed to be completely different from human engineering." Elena walked to the front of the group. She had made her decision, but she wanted her crew to make theirs freely. "I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor of using our power to send a distress call." 4 hands went up. Jackson, Chen, and 2 others. All in favor of going to help the aliens. 8 hands rose into the air. More than half her crew wanted to risk everything to save strangers. Elena felt proud and terrified at the same time. These people were willing to die for their principles. They could have chosen the safe path, the smart path. Instead, they chose to be human. "The decision is made," Elena announced. "We go help the Zephyrians." Jackson looked disappointed but nodded. "You're the captain. We'll follow your orders." Elena put her hand on his shoulder. "This isn't an order, Jack. This is who we choose to be." Liu was already running calculations for their course. Chen headed back to the engine room to prepare their systems for maximum burn. Dr. Kim started thinking about how to treat alien patients. Elena returned to the bridge and sat in her captain's chair. Outside the window, the void looked the same as always. Empty and dark and deadly. But somewhere out there, people were dying, people who needed help. She activated the ship's communication system. Her voice carried through every corridor and room of the Times. Persistence asterisk. "Attention all hands. We are changing course to assist a Zephyrian vessel in distress. This will use most of our remaining power. I want everyone to know what this means. We might not make it home, but we're going to try to save 800 lives." Elena paused, thinking about her next words carefully. "Some of you might ask why we should risk our lives for aliens who don't even like humans. I'll tell you why. Because when someone is drowning, you don't ask their religion before you throw them a rope. Because doing the right thing is what makes us human. Because in 50 years, I want people to remember that when the crew of the Times, Persistence Times, heard a cry for help, they responded without hesitation." Elena switched off the comm system and gave Liu the order to change course. The ship's engines came alive with a deep rumble. They turned toward the alien signal, leaving behind their last chance for an easy rescue. The void no longer felt empty. Somewhere ahead, people were waiting for salvation. The alien ship appeared on their screens like a broken crystal floating in the dark. Elena had never seen anything like it. The Zephyrian vessel was beautiful even while dying. Its hull was made of what looked like transparent metal that caught and reflected their searchlights. Long, graceful curves flowed from nose to tail like frozen music. But the beauty was ruined by huge cracks running along the sides. Atmosphere leaked from the holes in streams of white vapor that sparkled and disappeared. Parts of the ship were completely dark. Other sections flickered with emergency lights that looked more like colored rainbows than normal illumination. "Holy hell," Jackson whispered from beside Elena. "How do we dock with that thing?" Liu studied her instruments. "Their docking ports are completely different from ours. The ship's computer doesn't recognize their design at all." Elena could see the problem. Human ships used simple metal clamps and airlocks. The Zephyrian ship had flowing openings that looked more like flowers than machinery. Everything about their technology was artistic and organic. "Can we get close enough to use our emergency tubes?" Elena asked. Chen's voice came over the comm from engineering. "I can jury-rig something, but it won't be pretty. We'll have to basically ram our airlock against their hull and hope it seals." Elena made her decision quickly. Time was running out for everyone. "Do it. Liu, get us as close as you can. Jackson, gather a boarding team." The persistence times moved slowly toward the dying alien ship. Elena could see movement through the transparent sections. Tall, thin figures moved like ghosts through corridors filled with strange light. Some of them had collapsed. Others struggled to help their fallen friends. Dr. Kim appeared on the bridge carrying her medical kit and a tablet computer. "Captain, I've been reading about Zephyrian biology. They breathe a gas mixture that's close to ours, but their blood is completely different. If any of them are hurt, I'll be working blind. Do your best, Sarah. That's all anyone can ask." The two ships came together with a grinding crash that shook both vessels. Chen had managed to connect their airlock to what looked like a cargo bay. Emergency seals hissed and pumped, trying to create a safe passage between the ships. "Seals are holding," Chen reported. "Atmosphere is good on both sides. You can open the hatch." Elena led the boarding team herself. Jackson, Dr. Kim, and 3 other crew members followed her through the improvised connection. The moment they entered the alien ship, Elena knew they were in a different world. Everything was curved and flowing. There were no sharp corners or straight lines anywhere. The walls seemed to pulse gently, with soft light. The air smelled like rain and flowers, but underneath was the sharp scent of fear and death. They found the first Zephyrian collapsed just inside the airlock. Elena had seen pictures of the species before, but meeting one in person was different. The alien was tall and thin, maybe 8 feet high but weighing less than a human child. Its skin was pale and translucent, showing delicate patterns of light underneath. Large, dark eyes looked up at Elena with desperate hope. Dr. Kim knelt beside the creature and checked its vital signs with a handheld scanner. "Pulse is very weak, but it's alive. I think it's suffering from oxygen poisoning." "Oxygen poisoning?" Jackson asked. "Their life support is damaged. The gas mixture is wrong. Too much oxygen is toxic to them." Elena helped lift the Zephyrian and carry it toward their ship. The alien weighed almost nothing, like holding a tall child made of glass and light. "How many more are there?" "And ARFIT. According to their distress signal, over 800. Elena felt her heart sink. 800 aliens. And they could barely carry one at a time. This was going to take hours they did not have. They found more Zephyrians as they moved deeper into the ship. Some were conscious and trying to help others. Most were unconscious, or too weak to move. Elena's team worked as fast as they could, carrying aliens back to the persistence times and setting up emergency treatment areas. The Zephyrian ship was dying around them. Elena could hear the hull groaning under stress. Emergency systems sparked and failed. The beautiful curved corridors were filling with toxic gas that made the aliens sick but would not hurt humans. Dr. Kim set up a treatment area in the Persistence's cargo hold. She worked frantically to adjust their life support systems for alien biology. "I need to reduce the oxygen level in here by 30%. Otherwise, we'll poison them while we're trying to help." Elena found herself face to face with a Zephyrian who was still conscious. The alien spoke in a voice like wind chimes, but Elena's universal translator made the words understandable. "Why do you help us, human? Your species and ours are not friends." Elena looked into the alien's large, dark eyes. "Because you need help. That's enough." The Zephyrian's translucent skin showed patterns of light that Elena somehow understood meant gratitude. "I am Harmonious Wind Through Reeds, Captain of the Silent Current *. We carry refugees from the plague worlds, families with children who have nowhere else to go. I'm Captain Elena Vasquez. We'll get your people to safety. Our ship is dying. Our life support will fail completely within 2 hours, but your vessel is small. You cannot carry all of us. Elena had been trying not to think about that problem. The Times, Persistence Times, was designed for a crew of 12, maybe 20 in an emergency. 800 refugees was impossible. We'll make room, Elena said. We'll shut down everything except life support and pack people everywhere we can. Harmonious wind through reeds showed more light patterns under their skin. You will die trying to save us. Your ship cannot support so many lives. Elena helped the alien captain sit up. Maybe, but we're going to try anyway. Chen's voice came over Elena's comm unit. Captain, I've been looking at their ship's computer systems. I can't understand most of it, but I think they have star charts for this region. Really detailed ones. Elena felt a spark of hope. Can you access them? That's the problem. Their computers work completely differently from ours. Instead of digital code, they seem to use some kind of harmonic patterns. It's like their whole ship runs on music instead of electricity. Elena looked at harmonious wind through reeds. Captain, we need your star charts. Is there anything nearby that might help us? The Zephyrian captain's eyes showed surprise. You do not know of the ancient beacon network? What beacon network? The predecessors left communication devices scattered across this region. Incredibly powerful transmitters that can send messages across thousands of light years instantly. There is one perhaps a day's travel from here. Elena felt her heart race, a communication beacon that could reach across the galaxy. Can it call for help? Yes, but... The alien captain's light patterns dimmed. The beacon requires manual activation. The energy release during operation is fatal to organic life. Whoever operates it will die. Elena absorbed this information. A way to call for help that would save hundreds of lives, but cost one person everything. She found herself thinking about Chief Engineer Chen, who always volunteered for the most dangerous jobs. How do we find this beacon? Harmonious wind through reeds struggled to sit up straighter. My navigation officer has the location, but she is unconscious. And even if you find the beacon, you would need someone who understands predecessor technology. Do you understand it? Some. My people studied the beacon network for many years before the plague forced us to flee. Elena made another command decision. Then you're coming with us. All of you. We'll find this beacon and call for help. The alien captain stared at her with those huge, dark eyes. Human? You would sacrifice one of your crew to save refugees you do not know? Elena stood up and looked around the cargo hold. It was filling with aliens who looked like tall, graceful ghosts. Her own crew worked tirelessly to make them comfortable, sharing water and blankets without being asked. Someone once told me that doing the right thing is what makes us human, Elena said. We'll find a way to save everyone. That's what humans do. The Times, Persistence Times, limped through space carrying almost 900 souls. Elena had never seen her ship so crowded. Zephyrian refugees filled every corner, every storage space, every corridor. They sat quietly in the dark, their translucent skin glowing softly like living lamps. The ship's life support systems screamed warnings every few minutes. They were pushing everything far beyond safe limits. Dr. Kim had managed to adjust the atmosphere for both species, but the recyclers were failing under the impossible load. Elena found harmonious wind through reeds in what used to be her cabin. The alien captain was studying star charts on a tablet, their long fingers moving in patterns that looked like a dance. How much farther? Elena asked. Perhaps 6 hours at your current speed. But Captain Vasquez, I must tell you something important about the beacon. Elena sat on her small bunk next to the alien. What? The activation process takes exactly 13 minutes. During that time, someone must constantly adjust the harmonic frequencies. If the adjustments stop even for a few seconds, the beacon will shut down and cannot be restarted for many days. Elena understood. So whoever goes has to stay the whole time. Yes. And the radiation begins immediately. Death comes quickly, but not quickly enough. Whoever operates the beacon will suffer greatly. In their final minutes, Elena stared at her hands. She had been captain for 8 years. She had always known that someday she might have to make the ultimate sacrifice for her crew. She just never imagined it would be for 800 aliens as well. "I'll do it," she said quietly. Harmonious wind through reeds showed light patterns under their skin that Elena's translator could not interpret. "Captain, there may be another way. My people have been studying predecessor technology for generations. I might be able to make the adjustments needed." Elena looked at the alien captain. "You would die to save my crew? You risked everything to save my people. It would be appropriate for me to return that gift." Elena shook her head. "No. This is my responsibility. My crew, my ship, my choice." She left the alien captain and went to find Chen in engineering. He was surrounded by broken equipment and jury-rigged repairs. The engine room looked like a battle zone, but somehow everything was still running. "How are we holding up?" Elena asked. Chen wiped sweat from his forehead. "Life support is at 150% capacity. The recyclers are breaking down faster than I can fix them. We've got maybe 8 more hours before the atmosphere goes toxic." "What about the engines?" "Running on emergency power. One more jump, and we'll be completely dead." "No power for anything." Elena nodded. "That's all we need. One more jump to the beacon." Chen studied her face. "Captain, what aren't you telling me?" Elena explained about the beacon and what it would cost to use it. Chen listened without interrupting, his expression growing more serious with each word. "Let me go instead," Chen said when she finished. "I'm the engineer. I understand energy systems better than anyone. Marcus, this isn't about understanding machines. Someone needs to stay here and keep these people alive until help arrives." "That's you." Chen started to argue, but Elena held up her hand. "That's an order." She found Dr. Kim in the cargo hold, treating a young Zephyrian who looked barely old enough to be considered a child. The alien's skin was pale and flickering with weak light. Kim worked carefully, adjusting an oxygen mask designed for human faces. "How are our passengers?" Elena asked. Kim looked up with tired eyes. "They're incredible, actually. No complaints, no demands. They help each other constantly. Some of the adults are so sick they can barely move, but they still try to comfort the children." Elena watched the Zephyrian child breathe slowly through the adapted mask. "What's wrong with this one?" Radiation exposure from their damaged ship. The poor kid absorbed enough radiation to kill a human adult, but Zephyrians seem more resistant. She'll live if we can get her proper treatment soon." Elena felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. All these lives depending on her choices. All these children who would never grow up if she failed. Liu Wei found her an hour later on the bridge. "Captain, we're approaching the beacon coordinates. You need to see this." Elena looked at the main screen and gasped. The predecessor beacon was beautiful and terrifying. It looked like a mountain-sized crystal floating in space. Perfectly clear, but somehow containing its own light. Energy patterns flowed across its surface like slow lightning. "How old is that thing?" Elena asked. "Harmonious wind through reeds says at least 50,000 years, maybe older. The predecessors built the network and then vanished. Nobody knows what happened to them." Elena stared at the ancient artifact. 50,000 years ago, some unknown species had built this device to help future civilizations communicate across impossible distances. They had left it here like a gift for anyone who needed it. "Liu, I need you to do something for me. After I go to the beacon, you're in command. Get these people to safety." Liu's face went pale. "Captain, what are you talking about?" Elena explained the situation. Liu listened with growing horror. "There has to be another way," Liu said. "We can't just sacrifice you. There is no other way." "And Liu, I need you to promise me something. When you get home, I want you to tell everyone what the Zephyrians were like. They're not just aliens. They're people. They have families and children and dreams just like us." Liu was crying now. "Captain, please, let someone else do it." Elena put her hand on her navigator's shoulder. "I'm the captain. This is my job." She called the crew together one last time in the cargo hold. Humans and Zephyrians gathered around her. both species understanding that something important was about to happen. In a few minutes, we'll reach a communication beacon that can call for help. Someone needs to operate it manually. That someone is me. Jackson stepped forward. Captain, with respect, this is insane. Send me instead. Or me, Chen added. I volunteer. Or me, said Dr. Kim. Elena looked around at her crew. Every single one of them was volunteering to die. Even some of the Zephyrians were making gestures that her translator interpreted as offers to sacrifice themselves. This is not a democracy, Elena said firmly. I'm the captain, and this is my decision. Harmonious wind through reeds, moved through the crowd with that flowing grace their species was known for. Captain Vasquez, before you make this sacrifice, my people wish to give you something. The alien captain gestured, and suddenly every Zephyrian in the cargo hold began to sing. Not with voices, but with their bodies. Their translucent skin pulsed with light, in perfect rhythm. The patterns flowed from one refugee to another, until the entire cargo hold glowed like the inside of a star. Elena had never heard anything so beautiful. The song had no words, but somehow she understood its meaning. It was a song of gratitude, of respect, of grief for what she was about to do. It was a song that said her sacrifice would not be forgotten. We call this the Song of Honored Sacrifice. Harmonious Wind Through Reeds explained. We will sing it for you across all Zephyrian worlds. Your name will be remembered for 1,000 generations. Elena felt tears running down her face. She wiped them away and stood as straight as she could. Liu, take us to the beacon. Chen, prepare a shuttle for me. Everyone else, say your goodbyes. Elena Vasquez walked toward her final mission, surrounded by the light and song of people she had chosen to save. Elena stood in the shuttle bay, checking her suit one last time. The ancient beacon filled the window like a crystal mountain, pulsing with energy that had been waiting 50,000 years for someone to need it. Captain, Chen said from behind her. You can't do this. Elena did not turn around. We've been through this, Marcus. It's my choice to make. No, you don't understand. Chen moved to stand in front of her. I've been studying the beacon data with harmonious wind through reeds. The activation process requires constant technical adjustments, frequency modulations, power regulations, harmonic balancing. You're a good captain, but you're not an engineer. Elena looked at him carefully. What are you saying? I'm saying you couldn't operate that thing even if you wanted to. It takes someone who understands energy systems at a deep level. Someone who's spent their whole life making broken machines work. Elena felt her stomach drop. No, I'm the only one on this ship who has a chance of making it work. We both know it. Elena grabbed his arm. I won't order you to die for us. Chen smiled. And for the first time in days, he looked completely at peace. You're not ordering me. I'm volunteering. This is what I choose to do. Before Elena could stop him, Chen activated the shuttle's launch sequence. The bay doors opened, and he fired the engines. Elena watched helplessly as her chief engineer flew toward certain death. Marcus, she yelled into her comm unit. His voice came back calm and steady. Captain, get on the comm and tell everyone what's happening. I want them to understand why I'm doing this. Elena ran to the bridge, her heart breaking with every step. Lu Wei looked up as she burst through the door. Where's the shuttle going? Liu asked. Marcus is going to activate the beacon. Elena's voice cracked as she said it. Liu's face went white. Oh God. Elena sat in her captain's chair and activated the ship-wide communications system. Throughout the times, Persistence, Asterisk, humans and Zephyrians stopped what they were doing to listen. Attention everyone, this is Captain Vasquez. Chief Engineer Marcus Chen is approaching the predecessor beacon. He will activate it manually and call for rescue. This will save all our lives at the cost of his own. Elena paused, trying to find the right words. Marcus Chen has been with this crew for 6 years. He's fixed our engines 1,000 times, kept our life support running when it should have failed, and never complained about impossible jobs. Today, he's doing the most important repair of his life. He's fixing the future for 900 people he barely knows. On the shuttle, Chen listened to Elena's words as he approached the beacon. The ancient device was even more beautiful up close. Patterns of light flowed across its surface like living music. He could feel the power radiating from it, enough energy to send a message across the entire galaxy. Chen activated his own comm unit. This is Chief Engineer Marcus Chen of the Earth Vessel Times Persistence **. If anyone ever listens to this recording, I want you to understand something important. He began the docking sequence with the beacon. Ancient systems that had been sleeping for millennia came alive at his touch. The beacon responded to his shuttle like it had been waiting specifically for him. Humans are new to your galactic community. Most of you think we're violent and primitive. Maybe you're right about some of us. But today I want you to see who we really are. Chen connected his shuttle to the beacon's control interface. Immediately, information flooded his screens, instructions in a language that was old before humans discovered fire. But somehow his universal translator could handle it. We came out here to deliver farming equipment. Simple tools to help people grow food. Our ship broke down in the middle of nowhere, and we thought we were going to die. Then we heard a distress call from strangers who needed help. Chen began the activation sequence. The beacon responded with a deep harmonic tone that vibrated through his entire shuttle. Energy patterns flowed faster across its surface. We could have used our last power to call for help for ourselves. Instead, we chose to save 800 refugees from a species that barely tolerates us in their galactic club. Do you want to know why? The radiation levels began climbing immediately. Chen could feel it like heat against his skin, even through his protective suit. The beacon's documentation was clear about what would happen next. He had maybe 15 minutes before the radiation killed him, because when someone is drowning, you don't ask their species before you throw them a rope. Because children are children, no matter what planet they come from, because doing the right thing is what makes us human. Chen worked frantically to fine-tune the beacon's frequency. The ancient controls were incredibly complex, requiring constant adjustment to maintain the signal. His hands moved across panels covered with symbols that looked like mathematical poetry. On the Times Persistence **, everyone listened to Chen's voice. The Zephyrian refugees had gathered in groups, their skin glowing with patterns of light that somehow conveyed deep respect and gratitude. Even the children seemed to understand what was happening. The beacon is almost ready, Chen reported. In a few minutes, this signal will reach the Galactic Council, the Human Colonial Authority, and every rescue organization within 1,000 light years. Help will come for the people on this ship. Elena wiped tears from her eyes as she listened to her engineer's calm voice. Marcus, thank you. Don't thank me yet, Captain. I've got work to finish. The beacon reached full power with a pulse of light that could be seen from space. Chen felt the radiation burning through him now, but his hands remained steady on the controls. The signal was broadcasting, carrying a simple message across the galaxy. 900 people need rescue in the Kepler void. Humans and Zephyrians dying together. Please help. Signal is transmitting, Chen reported. Full power, perfect clarity. They'll hear us on Earth, on the Council homeworlds. Everywhere. His vision was getting blurry, and his hands were shaking. The radiation was cooking him from the inside. But the beacon needed constant adjustment for the full 13 minutes. Chen gritted his teeth and kept working. I want everyone to know something, he said, his voice weaker now. This isn't about being a hero. This is about being human. When we heard that distress call, we responded without hesitation. Not because we expected a reward, not because it was smart, but because it was right. Chen's hands moved across the controls like a musician playing his final song. Each adjustment kept the signal strong, kept the message broadcasting, kept hope alive for everyone depending on him. Tell them we chose this. Tell them humans don't abandon people who need help. Tell them that when the crew of the Times Persistence Times heard a cry for help in the darkness, they responded without hesitation. The 13 minutes felt like hours, but finally the beacon completed its cycle. The ancient device had sent its message across the galaxy with perfect clarity. Help would come. Chen slumped over the controls. His work finished. The radiation had done its job, but so had he. His last words were barely a whisper. "Mission accomplished, Captain. Bring our people home." Elena sat in her captain's chair and cried. Around her, both humans and Zephyrians mourned the man who had died to save them all. The song of honored sacrifice filled the ship again. This time for Marcus Chen. 3 days later, the largest rescue fleet in galactic history arrived in the Kepler void. Ships from dozens of species, all responding to the beacon's call. They found the Persistence Times still fighting for life. Her crew having somehow kept 900 beings alive through sheer determination. The rescue made headlines across the galaxy. The story of the human ship that sacrificed everything to save alien refugees became legend. The Galactic Council held special sessions to discuss what they called the human example. Elena Vasquez was awarded the Council's highest honor for interspecies cooperation. In her acceptance speech, she said, "Don't honor me, honor Marcus Chen, who died believing that all life has value. Honor my crew, who chose compassion over survival. Honor the idea that intelligence without kindness is just clever cruelty." The Persistence Times was turned into a memorial ship, floating in Earth's orbit. Her cargo hold was converted into a garden where Zephyrian crystal flowers grew next to Earth roses. A plaque by the entrance read, "In memory of Chief Engineer Marcus Chen and the crew of the freighter Persistence *." When they heard a cry for help in the darkness, they responded without hesitation. Years later, when young beings from 100 species studied galactic history, they learned about the humans who proved that heroism isn't about being fearless. It's about being afraid and helping anyway. It's about hearing someone call for help and responding without hesitation, even when the smart thing would be to save yourself. The beacon still floats in the Kepler void, a crystal mountain pulsing with ancient light. Sometimes rescue ships stop by to pay their respects at the place where a human engineer died to save strangers. The beacon has been designated a galactic monument, protected for all time. In the end, Elena thought, Marcus had been right. He had fixed the future for 900 people. But more than that, he had fixed something broken in the galaxy itself. He had shown that some things were more important than survival, more valuable than safety, more human than fear. The message was simple, but it echoed across the stars. When someone needs help, you respond without hesitation. That's what humans do.